Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Punatu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we'll chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verses 31 to 40.
आख्याहि मे को भवानुग्ररूपः नमोऽस्तु ते देववर प्रसीद विज्ञातुमिच्छामि भवन्तमाद्यम् न हि प्रजानामि तव प्रवृत्तिम्। श्रीभगवानुवाच कालोऽस्मि लोकक्षयकृत् प्रवृद्धः लोकान् समाहर्तुमिह प्रवृत्तः ऋतेऽपि त्वां न भविष्यन्ति सर्वे येव स्थिताः प्रत्यनीकेषु योधाः तस्मात् त्वमुत्तिष्ठ यशो लभस्व जित्वा शत्रून् भुङ्क्ष्व राज्यं समृद्धम्। मयैवैते निहताः पूर्वमेव निमित्तमात्रं भव सव्यसाचिन्। द्रोणं च भीष्मं च जयद्रथं च कर्णं तथान्यानपि योधवीरान् मया हतांस्त्वं जहिमा व्यतिष्ठाः युध्यस्व जेतासि रणे सपत्नान्। सञ्जय उवाच एतत् श्रुत्वा वचनं केशवस्य कृताञ्जलिर्वेपमानः किरीटी नमस्कृत्वा भूय एवाह कृष्णम् सगद्गदं भीतः प्रणम्य। अर्जुन उवाच स्थाने हृषीकेश तव प्रकीर्त्या जगत्प्रहृष्यत्यनुरज्यते च रक्षांसि भीतानि दिशो द्रवन्ति सर्वे नमस्यन्ति च सिद्धसङ्घाः। कस्माच्च तेन न मेरन्महात्मन् गरीयसे ब्रह्मणोऽप्यादिकर्त्रे अनन्तदेवेश जगन्निवास त्वमक्षरं सदसत्तत्परं यत् त्वमादिदेवः पुरुषः पुराणः त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानम्। वेत्तासि वेद्यं च परं च धाम त्वया ततं विश्वमनन्तरूप वायुर्यमोऽग्निर्वरुणः शशाङ्कः प्रजापतिस्त्वं प्रपितामहश्च नमो नमस्तेऽस्तु सहस्रकृत्वः पुनश्च भूयोऽपि नमो नमस्ते नमः पुरस्तादथ पृष्ठतस्ते नमोऽस्तु ते सर्वत एव सर्व अनन्तवीर्यामितविक्रमस्त्वम् सर्वं समाप्नोषि ततोऽसि सर्वः
Kalyan Kumar, can you please clarify the meaning of vasanas and gunas and the distinction between them? And where do gunas come in the chronology of action? Can you please clarify the meaning of vasanas and gunas and the distinction between them? Where are you, Kalyan? Can I see you? Oh, there you are. Okay. So, can you please clarify the meaning of vasanas and gunas and the distinction between them? Vasanas are unmanifest desires, the state you are in when you are in deep sleep. Okay, so vasanas are indefinable. You cannot define them. You cannot understand them because vasanas only means ignorance. Ignorance of the self. So there's no definition for it. From ignorance of the self comes the intellect. So intellect cannot define it. Where it comes from. So what is the meaning of vasanas? It refers to the state of unmanifest desires. It's not a definition, it's a reference. It's a reference to a state. Why do we need this thing at all? Because now at the moment you're in a Gita class. You must be having a desire for mango, for instance. Now, where is that desire? You're not thinking of it. Until I told you about the mango, there was no thought of a mango in your mind. So where is that desire? We say it is in the vasana state. It's in the unmanifest state. Right? So you can't define it at all. Is vasanas clear? Okay. Now, what are gunas? Gunas is a classification of mental temperaments. Now, classification is something within the realm of within the realm of the intellect. Intellect classifies, right? So intellect cannot classify vasanas. So intellect can classify the different types of thoughts. The vasanas manifest as thoughts, and gunas is one way of classifying them. Other ways of classifying the same thing is mind and intellect, is good and bad. There's so many classifications, mano, buddhi, chittam, kar. There are various different classifications given for different purposes. So one such classification is of the gunas.
So it's a classification of thoughts.
Of mental temperaments, yes. Of thoughts.
Okay.
So where do gunas come in the chronology of action? They don't come in the chronology of action. There's nothing to do with action really. It's a classification of how you think, and that leads to action. So if you have vasana, thought, desire, action, then the thoughts and desires can be classified in a different way called gunas. So instead of saying it comes from a thought, desire, action, you say it comes from rajas, tamas, sattva, action.
Correct. Yeah, that's where the confusion was, because.
So it is classification. It's just different. You can also say vasana, intellect, mind, action. But the base is vasana, thought, desire, action. That's the base. Now you can classify this in any way you like.
Okay, because I read in the book saying that gunas determine the quality of activities.
That's right.
And then the
What
chronology
does that
of
sentence mean now? Gunas determine the quality of activity only means your thoughts determine the quality of your activity.
okay. So they are the manifest ones, vasanas are the unmanifest.
Yeah, don't say they're the manifest one. There's a classification of the manifested thoughts. I mean,
Okay.
thoughts have to be manifested, right? It's a thought, so it's manifested.
Okay. Yeah. I think I got, yeah. Thank you.
Anyone has anything else? Where were we? We were learning how Krishna said, just do what you have to do. The result is preordained. The result is preordained means people have already done something which is going to give a certain result. It's like you shot, you pull the trigger. The bullet has left the gun. Now it's going to reach where it's going to reach. In that sense, do not understand it as it is predetermined that you will pull the trigger. This is not predetermined. But having pulled the trigger, the bullet is going to reach where it's going to reach. It's very important for us to understand this distinction. Because on one hand, we have this whole concept of fate. And on the other hand, we have this whole concept of self-effort. So it's always confusing if the base idea is not clear. So what is this base idea? That every one of us is free to choose our actions, but having acted, that result now becomes predetermined. You are free to choose which seed to plant. But having chosen which one to plant and planted, now if you planted mango seed, you're only going to get a mango tree. You can't get a lion out of it. You can't get a rose out of it. You can't get anything else out of it. You planted the seed, so you're going to only get a mango tree. I hope this is completely clear, because when it's not clear, it leads us to tamas. That, everything is fated. Everything is not fated. That which you have done, its result is bound to come. However, we all have the capacity to choose actions even now. So this is why this becomes crucial to understand this verse carefully. And Krishna says it is already predetermined that the Kauravas are going to die because they've done all that is necessary to lose the war. They've already done all those actions. So now they're going to go inevitability. Like a Greek tragedy, it always goes towards the tragedy. So it's the inevitability of a Greek tragedy. It will go to that end because they've already done all it takes. It's like saying this child is going to do very well in the exam. How can you say he's going to do very well in the exam? He's already done all that he needs to do well in the exam. In that sense. Okay. Naim, are you trying to say something?
Question, Bhagavad.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in the previous chapters, when he was encouraging Arjuna to get up and fight, he told him that, be brave, whatever happens, either you'll win the war or you'll win the kingdom. You'll either get heaven or you'll get the kingdom over here. So at that time, he wasn't sure. He wasn't telling him that you are going to win. But now here in this verse, he says it's determined that you are going to win. So what has changed that result is now predetermined, but before it was not predetermined?
Nothing has changed. Only the facts remain the same. Arjuna's mental condition has deteriorated. So he has to reassure him. He is going to win the war either way. If he had told him then that you're going to win the war, the teacher always talks to a student. In the good old days, they talk to only one student because they had only one student. So the teacher always talks to one student. That is why even we don't answer a question unless there's a questioner, right? So he's talking to one student. He's talking to that whole student. He has to take into account facts, obviously. He also has to take into account the psychology of the student. Because the same question asked by two different students will get slightly different answers. The facts won't change, but the person you're speaking to has changed. Therefore, the representation of those facts changes. The picture behind the facts change. So at that stage, Arjuna is okay. He's on a track to recovery. He's doing well. And it's very logical that if you fight, either you will die, in which case you get heaven, or you will win this war and you will be the king of the land, the prince of the land. So both ways you're okay, Arjuna. But now look at his mental condition. This chap has collapsed. He doesn't know what he asked for. And he got it. So he's collapsed. Then show me your Vishwarupa, he's saying. So foolish he is. So he's okay, fine, see it then. And he can't take it. So he collapses. Now he's a collapsed state. Therefore, Krishna is telling him, look, Baba, you are going to win. Don't worry. Get up and fight. It is a psychological thing. Nothing, no external circumstance has changed. How do we know it hasn't changed? None has been reported to us. There's nothing here showing some external change has taken place.
Okay. Thank you, Janaki.
So be not, that's what it says, be not distressed. Fight, you shall conquer the enemies in battle. Mam vyatishtaha. Don't be distressed. In the beginning, when he was despondent, when he was in a state of tamas, in fact, it's very interesting. If anyone ever did this, it's too much. But when we have students who are very interested in the subject and want to take up to research and all that, very interesting to just study the psychology in the Gita. Like Naeem has brought up an interesting point that, it seems to be saying different things. If you remember right in the beginning, he said that get up and fight. He's always saying get up and fight. So that's common. But in the beginning, he says get up and remember in verse in chapter 2, why did he say get up and fight? Do you remember? Naeem told us 2 instances. Get up and fight is his conclusion. His reasons are changing all the time. In chapter 2, do you remember? He says, get up and fight. What is the reason he says that?
Follow Sadharma.
It's your
What?
duty.
Follow Sadharma.
Okay. Right in the beginning.
Your enemies will laugh at you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And fight, because get up, the enemies will laugh at you. The Maharathis will laugh at you. They will say you ran away because you were frightened of them. So you see, all along he uses very different psychology in getting Arjuna to work. Then in chapter 4, he says, get up and fight. Why does he say get up and fight now? You see, Janaka and the others fought. You did their duties. You also get up and do. So throughout the text, he uses very many different psychological props to get this chap to do what he is supposed to do. So nothing has changed. But right in the beginning, he told them, get up and fight. Otherwise, your compatriots, your competitors will laugh at you. Now, who do you say this to? To somebody who's fallen down in tamas. Then later on, chapter 4, he says, get up and fight. Why? Because Janaka and the others fought. Now, why Janaka and the others fought? So let them fight. No, why should I fight? Any logical person will say they want to fight, let them fight. Mera kya jata hai? But he's inspired. Get up. From olden times, people have acted. You too act. Then we come to then in your example. Get up and fight because you're going to benefit both ways. See, all this is appealing to Rajas. And now he says, get up and fight. Why? You already won. This is how you talk to a person who's collapsed again. You already won, don't worry. It's a reassurance. That is why, very interestingly, Bhagavad Gita is known as a, do you know what it is known as? It's known as a Smriti text. You remember what a Smriti text does? Smriti is the advice of the prophet to a particular set of people in a particular period of time. So Gita is referred to as a Smriti Prasthanatrayi. Within the Prasthanatrayi are the Sanatana Dharma, obviously. Right? But Gita is referred to as the Smriti version of it, which is very strange when you read the book. But when you see all these psychological things coming up, then you realize, oh, look at him doing all this stuff with Arjuna as well. An interesting thing for whoever wants to at any time sort of research into this. Lots to learn and how he deals with Arjuna's mind. Yeah, Mamita?
Yeah. So Janki ji, did the Vishwarupa Darshan also, although Arjun has collapsed, did the Darshan also provoke his faith so that now whatever Krishna tells him, like get up and fight, he will simply listen because he has glimpsed the fact of the Supreme Being?
Obviously not. How do we know that it is not so?
I don't know.
He's still asking questions.
Okay, what else? He's still asking questions. What else? What's the most obvious thing that
He's not willing
He
to
hasn't
take
started
action.
fighting yet.
he still needs another 7 chapters before he does anything? So he's not got up and fought, right? He's told him get up and fight. Did he get up and fight? No, he did. He's still sitting over there. But no, it didn't happen. It doesn't happen till chapter 18. So we have to go through 18 chapters. Otherwise, we'd have got only 11 chapters. This should have been, no? If this works, this should have been highlighted. Anyway, everyone thinks it's the highlight. They don't recognize a simple thing. If this worked, why is Arjuna still sitting there and talking? Why didn't he pick up arms? After Vishwarupa Darshana, it should have been Nashto Moha Smritir Labdva. My moha is gone, my smritir has come back to me. I've obtained my memory. Why didn't he say it? And get down to doing things, wasting poor Krishna's time. Much Krishna has to talk. So kuch akkal aayegi ki nahi, he must be thinking in his mind. So it didn't work. Yeah. We didn't, it didn't work because he hasn't got up and fought.
Right. Okay.
The whole skill of Vedanta is the development of clarity of thought. So clarity of thought is when you stay with a book for a long time, just keep studying it over and over again. It speaks to you in ways that it did not speak earlier. And so many things start becoming clear, which were just not clear before. And, like so many questions, like this question about Momita's question. So is he highly inspired now to listen to what Krishna says? Immediately, everybody should have got no, because he hasn't. So that's the kind of clarity that we hope comes out of the study of this. But it takes a lot of effort, unfortunately. This is a wonderful subject, but it takes too much effort. That's the problem with it. And very few people are willing to put in the kind of effort it requires, which is a pity.
But
So he says,
just
be
a
not
point.
distressed. Do not be distressed, O Arjuna. Fight. You shall conquer the Are you all here now? Suddenly all disappeared. Okay.
Yeah, very much.
Good. Thank you. So, why does a teacher go on repeating? Now, simple. This is called clarity. Why does a teacher go on repeating?
Because the student hasn't got it.
Because the student hasn't got it. Now, why hasn't the student got it?
Because
Is it
it's still not clear.
sorry?
It's still not clear for him.
Yeah, that's what it means. He hasn't got
Because he's not put in the self-effort, or the teacher is not clear.
it. Both are not correct. People do put in the effort, but they still don't get it.
Mind is not focused.
I mean, people do the best they can, right? I mean, everybody in this class is doing what they can. And I look at all these names. I see Bharti, I see Neeru, I see Bharat, I see Arun Sehgal, I see Mamita, I see all these various names. People who are working very hard, doing so much karma, doing this, doing that, doing their studies. They are putting in all the effort, right? But then why are they not getting it?
Other desires are also still there.
Okay,
So it's not the highest goal yet.
all right. Even if it's the highest goal, even if that goal has been established, even then people don't get it. People meet
It's not the only goal.
Okay, you can say that.
Because
No.
it's so difficult and counterintuitive.
Mm. Because it's so difficult.
There's a time lag between understanding and becoming.
Correct. Very good. Because change takes time. Anything of a serious nature takes time. For the body to become mature, just the body to grow up, takes about 20 years, right? By the time your body is fully grown. So now to bring the mind and intellect to a position of maturity, to change it from where it is to a better thing, it takes time, even after effort. It's not like many people do put in the effort. I mean, I don't know how many people are doing their morning studies, how many people are doing their karma yoga. I think there must be some 40, 50, I don't know how many people are doing because I've lost track now. Everyone's working hard towards the cause. They're doing their morning studies. And yet change doesn't take place because change takes time. We have to just keep on with the effort and keep on with the effort. It's like titration. It goes on and on and on. So in the meanwhile, until that change has actually taken place, what option does the teacher have? Just repeat. So the teacher has to keep repeating. What else can the teacher do? There's nothing else to be done, right? It's repeated in many different ways. But broadly, it's a repetition of everything that's been told before. Now, Neeru has been listening for what? Neeru? No, 20 years? I don't know how many years now. I think Neeru was there in the first class I took in Delhi. I think so. Is that correct, Neeru? Were you there in the first class? Where did we take it?
That's right, Janki. Yeah.
Yeah, Mala's house, no?
Yeah, that's right. Mm.
So what amount of time, effort, energy has been put in already? Just think about it. And even now, even today. Everyone is doing so much. This is true for everybody, including the speaker. Okay, don't think that the speaker is somewhere and you are somewhere. No such thing. Everybody, same boat. How much effort? How little is the change? Only this is so depressing that the only sort of bright thing in it is what?
That you can't lose it.
Yes, very good, Bharat. Is whatever change we do accomplish, that is with us forever. That is the only bright spark in this. But since it's so deep a change, it takes a long time. So though he's telling him and telling him and telling him, nothing is happening. He continues to be himself. And in the meanwhile, his mind is meandering. Show me Vishwarupa, tell me this, tell me that. All his mind is meandering. So eventually he has to get it. But it took 18 chapters by the time he went from deep-rooted tamas and despondency to nashto moha smrita labdva. Nashta, moha. My moha is nashtofied. And my smriti, my memory, labdva, I have obtained. Having obtained this memory. What memory? You forgot what is there for? Can you believe it? You go to a war like that and forgot what you're there for? So now my grandfather is there and my great-grandfather is there. You mad or something? You know what you have gone there for? Like we suppose India goes into a battle against somebody. They will go into battle against Pakistan in 1971 or something. We went into war against Pakistan. Now, at that time, it could have happened, right? One of the soldiers saw somebody there and said, "Oh my God, you were my neighbor in Pakistan before I came to India." And they say, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" Can you do all that? You were gone there to fight the battle, you fight the battle. Suppose Manek Shah had found somebody there who he knew from pre-independence time. And he said, "Hi, it's so nice to see you again." What? We'd have lost the war. He arrived on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the most important war of his life, and forgot what he's there for. And don't we do this all the time? When we talk to our husband or wife, or our boss or our colleagues, or anything, do we always remember what we're there for? The moment you open your mouth, do you remember what you're opening your mouth for? Okay, so he's forgotten, he's asked for Vishwarupa Darshana, got totally distressed, and now he has to be calmed down. So, verse 35. Sanjaya uvacha etat shrutva vachanam keshavasya krutanjalirvipamana kiriti namaskritva bhuya evaha krishnam sagadgatam bhita bhita pranamya. Sanjaya uvacha etat shrutva vachanam keshavasya krutanjalirvipamana kiriti namaskritva bhuya evaha krishnam sagadgadam bhita bhitam pranamya. Sanjaya says, Evam Shrutva, having heard this, Keshavasya Vachanam, the words of Keshav, Krutanjali, Vepaman, shivering, he folded his arms. He joined his palms. He's doing Namaskar basically. Vepamana. Now, very interesting. I tell you, psychology behind this is all very interesting. Here is a person who is pleading. He is shivering, he is pleading. He is Kiriti. Kiriti means the crowned one. Do you see the dichotomy of this thing? This is how, this is Vedanta. When you study, you gain this clarity. Krutanjali, Vepamana, Kiriti. You can say this all. It makes no sense, right? Here is a person who is collapsing. He is like pleading. He is shivering. He is the crowned one. Crowned one represents what?
the impending victory for Arjuna to be the king.
It shows his current status. He's the top in all material things. He is successful. He is smart. He's intelligent. He's extremely skilled. It's like Virat Kohli or something. He's got everything going for him. And yet, he's Krutanjali Vepamana. This is our condition. Every one of us has everything, and yet we are missing something. Just days ago, one girl came to me. She's from a very, very rich family. She has two beautiful children, a lovely home, very nice husband, very well settled with the in-laws, good family that she herself comes from, professionally qualified, very pretty, running. I don't want to give too much information, but enough. I mean, running her own establishment, let's say. Professionally is what I mean. And her question is the same thing. I seem to have everything. Then what do I not have? Why do I feel like this? This is every human's condition. We have so much, and yet somehow we don't seem to have everything. We have everything and not have it. So he's drawing our attention to how you could have everything in the world and still collapse. Krutanjalir Vepamanaha Kiriti. The one with joined palms, he's pleading, right? He's shivering. But he's a crowned one. He's a crowned one means materially he's on top of everything. By material, I mean physical, emotional, intellectual, the whole lot of it. He's on the top of it. He's a highly dynamic and skilled person. He's not an idiot over there. So, Namaskritva, having bowed down, Puya, again, Aha Krishnam Sagadgadam. He spoke to Krishna with a choked voice. He cannot speak. Bhita Bhita. Terrified. Excuse me. Do you see the dichotomy? So Sanjaya is reporting to Dhritarashtra how this person who is at the top of everything in every way. Now think of somebody today who will be like a Virat Kohli or I don't know, who other people, all top of everything. You know, that Ranveer Kapoor and his, what is her name, Deepika Padukone, and everybody who's like very good at what they do, they're doing very well in life, they've got everything, they've got family, friends, great relationships, every box is ticked. They travel, they got the best cars, every box is ticked. Even their own skills, their own capacities, their own success, they're not even dependent on anyone. They have more money than they know what to do with. Every box is ticked. And yet, still not. So, just for us to understand this, that even the kings, even the princes, even the topmost will have to surrender to this knowledge. There is no alternative. Verse 36.
Just one question, Janki ji, not on this, but in the previous, where you said the distinction between the freedom to choose the action and having chosen the action, the result is inevitable. So if you take one step behind, then this entire thing, what we are doing through the 4 yogas, is the ability to choose the right action, right?
Yeah.
That's what it gives us.
That's right.
Okay.
Because what it does is develops your intellect. What is choosing your action today is the mind. So when your intellect chooses the action, you take better calls on life.
Yeah. Understood.
Verse 36. Arjuna uvacha Sthane Rishikesha tava prakirtya Jagat prarushyeti nyudarajyate cha Rakshamsi bhitani disho dravanti Sarve namasyanti cha siddha sanghaha Arjuna uvacha Sthane Rishikesh tava prakritya Jagat prarushyetyanurejyate cha Rakshamsi bhitani disho dravanti Sarve namasyanti cha siddha sanghaha. And Arjuna says, Sthane Rishikesh, rightly or correctly or appropriately, tava prakirtya, jagat prarushyati. This world is your prakirtya. Prakirtya is by praise, by your kirti. So by praise, jagat prarushyati. Rushyati means delighted. Prarushyati. Prachanda rushyati, lot of delight. Anurajyate, rejoices. This world rejoices in your praise. The way to be happy is to praise the Lord. There is no other way to do this. Praise the Lord means what? To value it, to know that that is the most important thing. It doesn't mean that you should be poor and you should not have a relationship and you should not be skilled, and it doesn't mean any of it. It just means placing our values correctly. An intelligent person can have everything in this world. It's really not difficult. He says, Shipram hi manushe loke siddhar bhavati karmaja. Karmaja, born of action, siddham. Shipram, quickly. In this manushe loke, in this world of men. We need not worry about that. What is important is getting our values right. When we get our values right in this world, everything else will fall into place. But when we put the accent on the wrong syllable, when we give an unnecessary, exaggerated value to something that ought not to be thus valued, that's where we get into trouble in life. So he says, rightly, the world is delighted and rejoices in your praise. Rakshasas, Ditani, Dishadravanti. They're so terrified, they're running in all directions. Namasyanti, Siddha Sanghaha. Siddha are the perfected ones, the successful ones, the perfected ones, the perfected in the sense spiritually. They do what? They namasyanti. They bow down. So here are the different types of people in this world. The 3 types of people. There are the Rakshasas. The Rakshasas are those who are least interested in the right values of life. So what do? They hear Bhagavad Gita lectures, they run for their lives, right? So they run in all directions. Chalo, chalo, abhiyan. If you start a conversation around philosophy, you will find everyone going in different directions. They all disappear over there. So Rakshasas will run away. Then laymen, Laymen are happy, just happy. You know, in the sense of, suppose you hear Swamiji is coming into town, then you say, oh, very nice, let us go and listen to the lecture or something. They're just very happy that some good thing is happening around them. And the third type are the siddhas. The siddhas are those people who are spiritually grown. They are the ones who bow down. Who bow down. When you say I bow down to you, means what? It means that I am willing to subjugate my limited personality towards that higher truth that you represent. That is what bowing down means. So I'm willing to subsume myself in the great fire of knowledge. That is a siddha. Siddha in the sense of the successful ones on the spiritual path. Doesn't mean realized souls, because that question doesn't arise. But those who are a little further in the journey of spiritual growth, they are willing to subsume their personality into that higher truth, into the higher reality, in the right values of life, however you'd like to put it. Normal people are happy with good people, you know. They will also tell you, I know so many, one lady very interestingly told me some many years ago, she says, I like your life, she's telling me. You have all good people around you, and you have you all are all doing some nice good things, and you have good people around you, and you don't have, you know, all this normal politicking on friends or whatever. You don't have all that stuff. So I like your life. So that's a typical example of these kind of people, that the world is happy just with the goodness. Nice, good people. You're happy with these people. They don't do anything about it. I didn't ask them. Though that sentence really struck me, that somebody actually looks at it like that. I didn't ask them, but if you think this life is so good, why don't you take it up? No, that they will not do. But they like to see from afar that all nice things are going on. So these are the three types of people. So it's a sthane rishikesha, correctly or rishikesha. Some value it, some pursue it, and some run away from it, who are not inclined towards these ideas at all. And also another interesting is rishikesha. Rishikesha means one who has controlled his senses, the lord of the senses. So a person who is fully self-controlled means a realized soul. Other people will deal with him like this. A good general layman will like him because he's there. Rakshasas will run away, they won't have anything to do with it. And the siddhas will bow down. That means they will subsume their personality into that knowledge that he represents. Verse 37. Excuse me. Kasmachatene, sorry, excuse me. Kasmachatena neran mahatman gariyase brahmano pradhikartre ananta devesha jagannivasam tvamaksharam sadasat param yad kasmachatena nameran mahatman gariyase brahmano pradhikartre ananta devesha jagannivasa tvamaksharam sadasat param yat. Kasmat tena nameram. And why would they not bow down? Mahatman, O Mahatman. Gariyase brahmano pyadi adikat. Excuse me, adikatre. You gariyase, you are greater than Brahmana. Brahmana means Brahma. Adikartre. You are the Adikartre, the first mover, the primal mover. Ananta devesha jagannivasa. Jagan Nivasa, jisme jag nivas karta hai, the abode of the universe. Devesha, Deva Isha, the Lord of the gods. Ananta, infinite. Aksharam, the imperishable. Sat and Asat, you are both is and is not. That supreme being. Why would they not bow down to you? Because you are that supreme being. Now he doesn't know what he's talking about. If you read the Upanishad, the definitions of God, not or the indications of God, are something that anyone can read and understand. Now look at what his definitions are, or what he said, because I don't really understand any part of what he's saying. Gariyase, Brahmano, you are greater than Brahma. Brahma means vasanas, you're greater than anything we can conceive. You are an infinite being. You are the Lord of gods. You are the abode of the universe. That means the entire universe exists in you. The entire universe is nothing but one dot in Brahman. Like the entire dream is nothing but one facet of the waker's mind. You are the primal being, the Adi Kartre. Primal being means you were there before anything was there. You are the Aksharam, the unchanging. What are all these things telling us? That the transcendental reality is beyond this world. He is the primal being. He was there before the world began. He is the abode of the universe. Means the universe exists in him. He is Aksharam. He is unchanging. He cannot decay. Cannot perish. We know for a fact that every single thing in this world perishes. Every single thing decays. So what is he saying? He's only indicating that whatever that reality, whatever that truth is beyond the terrestrial world. We cannot hope to find the truth as long as we are within the terrestrial realm. It is the Lord of gods. Gods are all the primal powers. So what is the Lord of the gods? Lord of the gods means, Ms. Tadia, could you switch your video off, please? This movement is distracting. Lord of the gods means that the gods are the phenomenal powers, the thunder and rain, and whatever, all the powers that there are, volcanoes, whatever, any power you can think of. But what makes all that happen? What is that force by which this whole thing moves? What empowers the water cycle, for instance? What enables the tiger to run towards his prey? What makes the volcanoes erupt and throw forth the hot lava from the belly of the earth into the high heavens and destroy so many lives? And when you ask these questions, when a philosopher asks these questions are not talking about the science of it. That there is a wind, that there is some break in the, talking about the science of it. What makes this whole thing happen? What makes this earth go around the sun? Okay, you can answer that question by saying that a heavy object sort of distorts space, and that space creates the revolution, and that your answer could be right in terms of the scientific understanding. But what makes space exist? So philosophical quest is different from a scientific quest. And therefore the terminology is Lord of the Gods. Lord of the Gods in the sense that power that makes all this happen, not the science of it, not the causal relationships of it, but that which makes anything possible at all. Like, how does the car work? You can give all the science behind it, but that car cannot work unless you have the petrol. So what is that power? That's the whole question. That's the philosophical question. What is the truth that is the base of all of this? So basically, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So he is going to go on and on saying how great Krishna is. The thing is that what is the use of saying how great the whole thing is if you are not able to do anything about it? If genuinely you think he's so great, then you follow his advice. If genuinely you think he's so great, then you try to become like him. So this is all just what should I say, words, right? All of us can say, no, oh, this Gita is so good. Every one of us thinks so, otherwise we won't be in a Gita class. But do we really have the value for it? Meaning that, how do I know that I have a value for something? How would I know whether I have a value for something?
When you're putting in the book,
I don't hear any of it.
It becomes our priority.
Somebody is going past in a helicopter. Yes, what you
when you put in the work.
put in the work. How much of your mental and physical space is it taking up? So I go to a Gita class every Sunday when I have nothing better to do, when it shows a certain degree of value. Then I go to a Gita class every Sunday, regardless of what is happening. I'm going to attend the class. Shows a certain amount of value. I'm doing it only once a week. Shows the value. I do it every day. I do it multiple times during a day. All this shows value, right? Is it taking up my mental and my physical space? That's the question. There's no point saying, oh, this and oh, that. It's so great. You're so great. Gita is so great. Krishna is so great. But what am I doing? Nothing. So, how much value? So Arjuna doesn't get any of this stuff. And therefore, he is going on saying, you're so great, you're so great, you're so great. I mean, kya karu? He may be great or he may not be great. Main kya karu should be your question, right? So, all the time, you're this, you're that, you're that. You'll see it. He's going to go further. So, this verse, he just says these things. Last verse told us these are the different types of people and how they relate to the truth. The lay people are happy with it, not pursuing it, happy with it. The Rakshasas run away from it. And the Siddhas, those who are on the path, developed on the path, actively pursue it. Then why should people not bow down to you and be happy with you when you are all these things? None of which he understands himself.